Hello VC, this is Bev, Clark Vision, and welcome at last to my 2020 review. This is where I'm going to I'm going to say briefly or quickly, that's the plan, to go through fairly quickly just everything that I purchased that was a brand new release from last year. I've pulled it all out. Went through the collection, pulled everything out. It turns out in total I've got 41 items that I've picked up that were new releases from 2020. And first, I'm going to kind of show it in sections, kind of a general kind of section, if you like. So first there will be EPs, followed by live albums. Followed by all my CD studio albums, followed by all the vinyl studio albums. That's kind of how I'm going to do it, and I'm just going to come pretty much alphabetically, more or less, is how I had them filed. And as far as rankings and top 20s and top 30s or whatever goes, I'm one of these people that I can't really put them in an order of favouritism, because everything that I've bought here I like, and some I like equally, and some I might like a little bit more than others, but generally I like them all enough to be in my collection, so I can't really put something at number 1 and something else at number 5 and look at the list and think, well, how can I rate that 5 times higher than whatever? I can't really do it that way, as I've discovered in the past, and I think a few have tried that. Some people can do it that way, which is great if they can, but I'd like to just generalise, just a quick brief recap on what I purchased, and what I will probably do as I go through it is maybe say this is one of my top albums of the year, because there is a handful that I would say, oh, that was one of the best releases of the year. There's one or two that are up there kind of thing, but everything else just comes, it's all pretty good. If it's at the point where I don't really rate it at all, for example, if something was to be at the bottom of this list, you would think it was rated rubbish, but again, it's not that, and if it was, it wouldn't be staying in my collection kind of thing. So that's kind of how I'm sort of trying to work this, and as I've got 41 items to go through, I'm going to try and make this under 25 minutes, this video, but there's no guarantees, so you've been warned. And feel free to pause it and come back to it at a later date, at, wherever you like, if I finish the CDs and start on the vinyl or something like that, whatever. But as I say, I will try and not keep this longer than 25 minutes. So it turns out the 41 consists of 24 CDs and 17 vinyl. So obviously I've got more in the CD line. Partly factor that is, I think partially down to prices and things and availability, and the fact that some are just not on vinyl. One or two releases just weren't on vinyl. However, there's a couple of VCLT gifts in here as well. But anyway, so we'll get started. And as I say, it'll be coming at you sort of alphabetically, not in the order of release and not in the order that I got them, because I can't even remember that. But I guess if 2020 has been such a lousy year, and it certainly has, the one good thing about it is there was lots of rock and metal music, new rock and metal music being released for all of us out there. So, I mean, and my collection's not going to include any thrash or death metal stuff like that. So, if I've got 41 new items sitting here, that's only a small section of a few types, I mean, it doesn't even begin to touch some of the other areas that I don't really venture into either. So there's been loads in rock and metal generally. So, but anyway, so let's get going and we'll do a recap. So I have one EP, I think. I hope I get this right, but anyway. And this was Coulter, UK band, London based. I discovered them via my trip to Dying Victims Productions. Kind of new wave of traditional metal, kind of new wave of British heavy metal rather, vibes about them. 5 tracks, really good, kind of just straight up traditional sounding metal, and that is under the influence on Dying Victims Productions. Excellent. Now the live ones. This was VCLT, and this was absolutely one of the highlights of the year for me. This was a crucial release for me, because of this man here, Steve Clark. Def Leppard released the early years box set containing 5 CDs. 2 of them were reissues, remastered reissues of the first 2 albums. The other 3 contained demos, alternate recordings, B-sides, and live audio from the BBC sessions of 79 and 80, and a never before been released live concert from 1980 and the On Through the Night tour. Absolutely valuable. Steve Clark live, something that we have been so scarcely treated to as fans of this man for far too long. So to get this, it was like, you know, it was just digging for treasure and striking gold kind of thing. That's kind of how it was for me. Best release from Def Leppard in, well, this millennium, shall we say, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, and Darcy, the awesome Darcy in Canada, he obviously knew what this would mean to me, and he must have wanted to get me, and he did, and I am so grateful. Again, thanks Darcy. One of the coolest things I could ever receive. So that was that, and you know, early Def Leppard is, as far as I'm concerned, the only thing worth listening to be honest. But we've been there, done that. So moving on, next live album from the year was Eclipse. They released this, I don't know when this came out, about, was it May, June, something like that, this was released. Viva la Victoria, which was from a couple of years ago, just before their last studio release of last year. So this was from 2018, I think, if I've got that right. I could be wrong. Oh no, I'm completely wrong. I'm looking at the wrong date here. That was a documentary I was looking at. The actual live audio is from this year, April 2020, when before they got cut off from touring, they got in some of their latest tour that they were doing supporting last year's album, and it's this is a live show from Stockholm, 1st of April. Absolutely great band, and a really good live show. Totally upbeat, feel-good metal. Another absolute gem of the year was Iron Maiden's Legacy of the Beast, which obviously from the early part of their tour, again before things were shut down on them. This was 3 nights in Mexico City, a tremendous live set list, really enjoyable stuff, fantastic. So this is a deluxe CD set that I got, which comes in a nicely presented hardback book. Again, fantastic. From the mighty Maiden. Another live one, which I haven't seen anybody else show, talk about, or anything. For all of you that are fans of this band, you need this in your collection. This is Mirath. This came out round about May again as well. It was kind of middle of the year. and live in Carthage, or Carthage, I'm not sure how that place is pronounced. Absolutely marvellous band, Tunisian, blazing desert metal, with their own flavour. It's a superb live show. I haven't actually watched the DVD of this yet. A few of these live things have a DVD with them, so I've still got some of them to watch, but the audio is absolutely marvellous, so get that, people, if you like Mira. Put it on that side as well. And the last of the live albums I picked up was this gem as well, Pretty Maids, made in Japan. I think this was in celebration of some kind of anniversary. I can't remember, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Oh, it was the anniversary of the release of Jump the Gun. Was it Jump the Gun, I think, which was their third album, which was released in 1990, so yeah, 2020, that would be 30 years. In fact, it says it right there, Future World 30th anniversary, so the Future World's not the Jump the Gun. Yeah, so this was released in honour of that, and it is a live gig from the Future World Tour in Japan, and Japan is one of the countries they were absolutely massive in, so it's a really good live show again as well, and there's also a DVD with this as well. So fantastic live, they're a great live band as well. So that was the live stuff I've got there. I'm just lumping the Def Leppard box set in with live because it was the live stuff that was the most important from that release. Now, so on to the studio albums now, and the first one in alphabetical order from 2020. This was released on the 6th of March 2020, and it's Russell Allen and Annette Olsen, the first that this duo got together. Very good stuff indeed. This is kind of power metal, melodic power metal, really good. Annette Olsen is a very good vocalist. I like her a lot, and she sounds great on this album, highly recommended. Then we have Byford's School of Hard Knocks. What a great release this was. Saxon's leading man. He's been around with Saxon for years, and this was his first solo release, and what a good release it is, I have to confess. Fantastic stuff. When did this come out? The 21st of February. Absolutely, there's definitely a bit of the Saxon vibe about it, but there's kind of one or two more individual elements about it, and I think he does a really fantastic job of Scarborough Fair. I really enjoy how he kind of rocked that song up a bit. Excellent work. So very good album indeed. Next up is Elixir. Now these guys are British, and I think their career began back in the new wave of British heavy metal days, and this was their latest release on the 6th of March again. Voyage of the Eagle. Thanks to Fozzy at Vinyl Mania that I discovered this one. Again, it's kind of a bit of the new wave of British heavy metal vibe, but it's definitely more modern sounding. It's the kind of up-to-date, modern, traditional metal vibes you get with it. Then after that we have Eternal Idol. This band, these guys are Italian, and they're kind of melodic, symphonic metal. Another one that was released, when was this one released? This was released a bit later in the year, on the 6th of November. And it was Nathan that kind of introduced me to these guys. He sent me a copy of their debut album. This is their second release. Fantastic stuff, really good, really enjoyable symphonic melodic metal, and it's Renaissance, so highly recommended. In fact, everything in this video is recommended by me, so, but there you go. Next one I received as VCLT, Firewind, self-titled. These guys are from Greece, this band, and on this album they now have Herbie Langens, who has featured on the Avantasia project, and I think he used to be in Sindred and some other band, I can't really recall, but I think WarGod60 mentioned in his top 25 rundown, he mentioned this band as well, and he couldn't remember the other band that the guy was in as well, but yeah, anyway. But another fine, solid, this is power metal, just absolutely great, modern, fantastic album. After that we have another VCLT, Magnus Carlsen's Freefall, and this was my first experience of this project, obviously by Magnus Carlsen, and this is an album that was all written and produced by Magnus Carlsen, and he has a whole load of guest singers. This is We Are the Night, and this was the 10th of June this came out. Another excellent album. I was really pleased with what I was hearing here. This is just kind of a mix of modern, traditional / power metal, really good stuff. You've got Ronnie Romero on here, Tony Martin on here. There's a few names I'm not too familiar with actually. Mike Anderson, Dino Jelusic, Renan Zonata, you know, these names, I need to look them up on Google to see what bands they're all in, but absolutely excellent stuff again. Then back to the UK, this band self-released by the UK band Fury. This is traditional heavy metal, just straight up modern heavy metal, excellent stuff, great guitars, just really good young up and coming band. This is their third full length, I think their third album release, if I've got that right. But again, fantastic stuff. Their two previous albums are excellent, and this is equally excellent. They're a really solid band, this, very promising, and I do hope they get a chance to get recognised. I encourage you to sample them. The Grand Prize, excellent stuff. That was released on the 2nd of April, that one. One of the last ones of the year that I picked up, and it was actually one of the earliest ones released, believe it or not, but I only discovered them at the end of last year, and I've just recently shown it. Invictus, German band. They are basically, again, kind of traditional, modern, traditional power metal, just no nonsense, solid metal, solid guitars, great riffs, great leads, etc. Good solid singer, and these are on Iron Shield. This was actually released on the 24th of January last year, so it's almost a year old, but yeah, I was chuffed to find these guys. Excellent stuff for their album Eden. And another one that was one of the last ones I picked up, but this only came out on the 4th of December, Majestica's A Christmas Carol. Basically it's about Ebenezer Scrooge and his kind of Christmas story. What an absolute amazing album this is. If Christmas music was really getting a bit old and tired, then this is just completely blew the cobwebs away and shone a light. I don't know what else to say about this except it's absolutely fantastic. So uplifting, so energetic and just Christmassy, and gives you a bit of a fantasy feel about it. There's an atmosphere about it that really works well at Christmas, obviously, which I think is obviously part of the the intention. But yeah, and a lot of voice. God, what's his name? Tommy Johansson. He's Sabaton's guitarist, and he does the vocals on this. And man, has he got a voice! Absolutely fantastic. If you didn't pick it up, you need to get this for next year, for Christmas this year. I mean, that was actually one of my top releases of the year, which is kind of rare for a Christmas song, album, music, you know. That's how good it is as far as Christmas music goes. Unbelievable. Really good. And along with that, another one I picked up late in the year was this release from Persuader. This was released on the 2nd of December. These guys, where are they from? They're Swedish. Swedish power metal with a bit of a Blind Guardian vibe about their music, and the singer actually does put you in mind of Hansi Kurz. He does sound a bit like him, and they are really solid, fast, power speed metal kind of stuff. So this is Necromancy. Excellent. Again on Frontiers, that one is actually. So yeah. And another one, which this is kind of like a compilation thing, but again, 2020 release, I just thought I would include it, and I got it as VCLT, Powerwolf's Best of the Blessed, because they were celebrating, was it 10 years or something, I think? Or 20 years, I can't remember, maybe it was 20 years, I honestly can't remember. The Best of the Blessed it is, but yeah, and it's just a compilation of some of the greatest tracks of the albums up to this year, and I think there was about 7 of the tracks they actually re-recorded all together. They kind of revamped them a little bit and give them a fresh, updated sound. What a band, just absolutely fantastic. They do have a bit of their own kind of vibe about them as well, Powerwolf. Just fabulous stuff. That came out on the 3rd of July, that one. So, yeah, God almighty, there's no way this is going to be under 25 minutes, is it? So next up, Primal Fear and Metal Commando. German power metal, heavy metal, a bit traditional metal, but very melodic, and some power metal elements maybe in them. 24th of July this was released, and this is the first Primal Fear I picked up. I just was never quite sure about them, and when I sampled a few of these on YouTube, I was thinking, I like that, I like that, I like that. So there's about 3 of them, and that was enough to make me actually pull the trigger, and I really do enjoy this album. It's an excellent piece. So yeah, fantastic stuff. Next up is another new discovery for me. Rising Steel. I think I was browsing the Frontiers website maybe and spotted these guys on it, because this is their first album released on Frontiers. Yeah, French band, and Fight Them All is the title. Really excellent, solid. I would describe them as modern, traditional heavy metal, with a flavour of speed metal in there. A bit of a moody vibe in places to this record as well. It's just something a bit different about it, and it's excellent stuff. Really good. Another gem of the year for me, I think. It was really excellent. And another new discovery, Runemaster. I was reminded about these guys by a couple of the guys in the VC, and sampled it, quite liked it, and so I've picked this up, and they're local actually, so even better to support a local band. So this is their album Wanderer from 2020. They're kind of described on the net as heavy / epic metal, and there is a bit of that epic about their songs. Again, a bit dark sounding and moody in places, which is kind of a nice touch, but yeah, really, really good, interesting band. And we have a few people, I think most people that I've watched in their top review things, I've got this one, Striper's latest, Even the Devil Believes, excellent album again. I have Striper's last 4 albums, the 4 latest, and each one of them is really good, quite solid, heavy, just modern melodic metal. However, I have to be honest and say I still prefer the previous release, To Hell with the Devil. Is that what it was called? To Hell, or am I getting confused with the 80s one? I'll need to check this. Bear with me. It is. No, To Hell with the Devil's 80s one. So it's actually Goddamn Evil was the previous release. I knew I wasn't sure about that. That is my favourite one. That one was absolutely outstanding. This one I thought just wasn't quite as good as that one. But still a very good album, and definitely worth a pick up indeed. Then another one, again VCLT, I think the Striper was as well. Certain Jim Davies was very kind, and this was one of the VCLTs, and this is Tokyo Motor Fist. And this is very melodic, hard rock, modern kind of sounding. Come over the page here. Yeah, melodic hard rock, and this has it's produced by Steve Brown of Trickster, who's the guitarist in here, mixed by Bruno Ravel. He's also on here, I think, from Danger Danger, and I think there's someone else for Danger Danger in here, maybe. Doesn't say on the back. Frontiers again. It's very modern Def Leppard-esque, very much influenced by the Def Leppard way of creating songs, you know, that very melodic sing-along kind of stuff. To be honest with you, I think that's maybe, I mean, this is okay, it's quite, and there's some really good songs on it, but it's anything that kind of reminds me of Def Leppard, more modern, I kind of find it a little bit odd or difficult to listen to for some reason. I don't know why that is. That's just a me thing, I think. I don't think that's a general thing, I think that's just me. And I think that's maybe what was throwing me a little bit. Maybe just a bit too sickly sweet, if you like, just a bit too much like the modern Def Leppard, although the singer's voice is a damn sight better than Joe Elliott's, I can tell you that much. But yeah, so, but generally, if you like hard rock, you should really enjoy this melodic stuff. Then, another interesting one, and this was again, in fact, I've got 2 more CDs here, and they came from Jim Davies as well. Very kind. Now this one was an interesting one. The Waymaker, self-titled. Now this band are Christian metal, and they're not American, which is interesting. They're kind of, there's a 3-piece, and there's male and female vocals on it. And they're from Sweden and Finland, the people in the band, and they, you know, they're because there's a bit of a European flavour about them. They're definitely not like Striper, which is kind of nice actually, but they are a bit different. And I was listening to this and I'm thinking, this is quite different, you know, because I was kind of half expecting it to be on a similar vein to like the Striper and some of the other kind of Christian bands out of America, like Petra maybe, just the melodicness, but there's definitely a heavier sound to this, and although they're still melodic, I think there's kind of progressive elements in it here and there as well, which I think that's maybe what makes it sound that bit different. So just a bit of a different style altogether, but really interesting band and really good stuff. So that was a nice one too. And the last of the CDs, Winter's Verge, the Ballad of James Tigg. Absolutely cool cover. Now, Winter's Verge are from Cypress, and they are symphonic power metal. And yeah, really enjoyable melodic stuff in here again as well, just excellent. So that is the CDs. 31 minutes. I wonder if I should just maybe pause this and do another one. What do you reckon? Or should I just keep going? Just keep going. I just kind of want to get it all done in the one, I think. Right, so on to the vinyl now, and again it's actually, I've just realised I forgot to show a live album because it's the one live album that I have on vinyl, and I put it aside and forgot to show it at the end of the CD, so I'll show that first, right? So this was the live album on vinyl that was released, and it's Visions of Atlantis. Now where are they from? Visions of Atlantis, I'm sure I put a note down for them somewhere. Yeah, they are from Austria, this band. And this is, obviously it's a live recording, and it was done with the Bohemian Symphony Orchestra of Prague. And it was released on the 30th of October last year. And the reason I picked this one up on vinyl is because the vinyl came with a DVD slipped in as well, and this is Napalm Records, this one. So you get a DVD of the concert as well as the audio. It's a double album, and again, and this one is, you know, it's obviously one of these ones where they've had the symphony orchestra working with them on the stage, and they've just done a really live show backed up with this orchestra, and it's really good stuff. So symphonic metal, you know, power metal kind of stuff. Really, really talented band, and this is a delight. I have to say, this is another one of my live albums of the year. In fact, all the live stuff that I picked up, I'm really chuffed with this year. So, right, now on to the studio. The studio albums here. I'm just going to move that out of the way. So I've got room. Well, we'll see. They'll all fall down. Right then, so the vinyl. Ambush and Infidel, another popular one this year, and Swedish band, new wave of traditional heavy metal, really excellent, solid, melodic, fresh sounding band. 13th of March this came out. Absolutely brilliant. Blue Oyster Cult's new release after, what was it, 17, 18 years or something? The Symbol Remains. So this is kind of, you know, well, Blue Oyster Cult, they're kind of classed as rock, hard rock, kind of soft rock, some kind of rock band anyway. Now this came out on the 9th of October, and I've actually only got it listened to once, and just the other week, and really interesting. I was listening to Kevin at Wargod 60, his review of this, what he was saying on his video last night. I was watching it, and he was saying he thinks, you know, there's more of a 70s vibe, but there's also bits of the 80s and bits of the 90s Blue Oyster Cult in it, mixed into it. Now, I'm not as up on Blue Oyster Cult as probably loads of other people. I'm only just recently getting into them, and I have one of their live albums from the 70s and a couple of their early 80s, and this. And I put this on and I'm listening to it, and I thought, side one's my least favourite side of them all, actually. But it's still alright, you know, and I'm thinking, this sounds like the Rolling Stones. There was quite a bluesy vibe in places. And the vocalist, the singer, was reminding me of kind of a Mick Jagger style in places. You know, he didn't actually sound like Mick Jagger, but there was just something in it that made me think of him. So that was side A. And then we get to side B. Now, I'm just trying to think if I'm going to get side B and side C mixed up here. I should have wrote this down at the time. Moved on to side B, and I'm thinking, what was the band that it reminded me of? It was another different band. But I thought there was more of an 80s vibe about side B. Bit more melodic, less bluesy sounding. Side C was heavy rock. It was more hard rock, bordering on heavy metal kind of vibe. It was, apart from Florida Man's, but there was another couple of songs there that were really quite heavy sounding. And then D, again, just hard rock, classic hard rock. But yeah, I was listening to it and I thought, there's all kinds of different styles flowing through this record. There's really quite a mixture. But really good stuff. I was quite impressed with it, actually. So, but I need to give it some more listens. As I say, I've just not had time to get studying that one properly. But yeah, good stuff, I would say. Another excellent release this year, Bonfire's new one, Fistful of Fire, absolutely classic melodic metal from the German band. This came out on the 3rd of April. I personally don't feel it's quite as good as Temple of Lies. I just love that one. But it's not far off it. I think there's just a couple of songs on here that just not quite as good, I would say. Whereas on Temple of Lies, I pretty much like every single track. So, but yeah, there's a couple in here that are maybe just a little bit weaker for me, but again, really good stuff from Bonfire. Another excellent output. Then another band that I was so pleased to discover earlier in the year, and it's a British band again, Dark Forest, Oak, Ash and Thorn. Excellent release, excellent stuff. These guys are a mixture of traditional heavy metal, folk metal and power metal elements. Not too much of the power, just more folky and traditional kind of metal. Really, really nice mix, flavour of music in here. And this is Cruz del Sur. I don't know how you pronounce that either, but excellent. So chuffed to find this band. So that was another favourite of the year. Also another one, Demons and Wizards 3. This was released on the 21st of February. Yep, I knew this one was an earlier half of the year. Really good. This is my favourite Demons and Wizards. Possibly because I find there's a bit more melody in it. As the other two, I found a little bit heavy going, particularly the first one. Again, there's some Fast and Furious bits on here, but I think I just prefer the style of the songs, and well, the artwork's absolutely. This is one of the best art covers of the year. The detail is incredible. You know, the detail on the buildings and everything is just amazing. And just the way the lighting effect fantastic stuff, so really good album. Then we have absolute gem. This is another one of my top albums of the year, is this one, America's Glacier. Formed in the 80s, and this they released an EP originally in, was it the 80s, which was reissued a couple of years ago, and this is their first full-length LP release after all these years. I guess you could say it's a slightly similar story to Neptune, which will be coming up, but this is an absolute beast of an album. So just straight up melodic heavy metal, with an 80s vibe, but the modern sound, really upbeat, just fantastic. I mean, the opening track, Eldest and Truest, is just fantastic, and the first so many, I don't know how many there was, who pre-ordered it, got this extra bonus track, Raise the Fist, which is on a flexi disc. So there you go, which is also a good song. They really need to release this properly as well. Brilliant stuff. And that's No Remorse Records, so top stuff. Then another American band, High Spirits. One or two others I've mentioned this one before. This is Hard to Stop. Just again beautiful melodic guitar harmony sounding band. There's a bit of the Thin Lizzy vibe about the guitars in here, the dual harmonies. But again, it's like a modern, sound and production and all that stuff. And this album from start to finish is just a pure feel-good album. Wonderful stuff. Just the perfect kind of melodic metal hard rock that I like. Then back to the kind of symphonic department, if you like. Another beauty of a release. This is fantastic as well. Leaves' Eyes, who are a mix of German and Norwegian band members. Female singer and a male singer. The male singer does kind of growly bits, the female's clean vocals, but the growly bits are thankfully not enough to put me off, otherwise I wouldn't be holding this. But yeah, what a great album this is. It's a double album. I ordered this from France. I've got the French edition, which is clear blue vinyl, just because I wanted to have a different version. But yeah, so this is kind of like symphonic or Viking type metal. It's a concept album, obviously. Just really excellent stuff. Then next up is Neptune, another band that were formed in the 80s, and they finally got their first, this is the debut album, released last year, 35 years after their formation, and this is Northern Steel. These guys are Swedish, and again it's just melodic hard rock and melodic metal, kind of, with the 80s vibe, but again modern sound. Really good stuff. Another little gem I found a bit later on in the year, Canadian band, another up and coming Canadian band, Possessed Steel. And again, like Runemaster, these guys are categorised as the heavy epic metal. Again, there's a bit of a moody, kind of dark moody feel to their sound a little bit. Really nice, really high quality album this is. I highly recommend it. And the album is called Idris, I think. But yeah, superb stuff. Debut album for this band, and looking forward to getting more for these guys in the future. But yeah, this is another highlight for me of the year. Yet another highlight of the year was one of the first releases by Serenity, This came out on the 31st of January, The Last Night. Again, it's a concept album. These guys are from Austria as well, and they're also on Napalm Records. Just excellent, excellent symphonic metal, melodic, what they described as here, symphonic power metal. Another really talented sounding band out of Europe. Can tell I sort of dig the Euro symphonic kind of power metal sound, I suppose. But I don't just like that. It's just there was so many of them releasing stuff last year, crazy stuff. Then back to the standard, more melodic hard rock kind of, standard metal sound, modern traditional metal. Sirius Black and Sweet 226. This is about their fourth release, this band. They're kind of like a supergroup with a bunch of folk from various other bands. I can't remember, but they're a mixture of guys from the likes of Germany and America. And they're kind of described as melodic power metal / traditional metal. Really, again, more kind of upbeat, feel-good sounding, energetic music. Another excellent band to check. Another earlier release from the year, Temperance, Italian band this time, Viridian. This was released on the 24th of January, another January release. And again, these guys are kind of melodic, symphonic power metal, that kind of vibe. Again, this is excellent stuff. Really enjoy this album. I think for me, it's just the last track, the closing track, which kind of wasn't too fussed about, but everything else is just really good. So yeah, that's Temperance. Nearly there. I think there's about 4 to go. Tokyo Blade. They released a new album last year on Back on Black. And this is Dark Revolution. Is that what it says? Yep, Dark Revolution by Tokyo Blade. I really liked the sound of this, which obviously made me order it from what I heard, a couple of tracks. And no sooner had I ordered it, I discovered they were re-releasing it on a double album to fit in the 3 tracks that are on the CD but don't fit onto here, apparently. But anyway, whatever. So there's another 3 tracks, I think. It's a good album. I don't think it's as good as the previous, which was Unbroken. That was released a couple of years ago. That one was excellent, but I don't think this is quite as strong as that. There is a few good tracks on it. But there's a few that kind of weren't, weaker tracks for me. I felt a couple of filler tracks maybe on it, but there's a couple of really top drawer songs. Story of a Nobody, the opening track is really good. Dark Revolution, and I can't remember, to be honest. I need to listen to them all, but yeah, it's a decent album. However, it wasn't quite one of my favourites, but still good. And the last 2 we have. This again is one of my albums of the year. This is probably my absolute favourite release of the year. UDO and the German military, I can't even remember what the official English military band, anyway, of the German forces, something like that. Now this was actually a studio album written from scratch with the band and the orchestra, so it's completely infused. It's metal, it's classical and metal infused, and it's such a beautiful sounding album. It's different, you know, it's not your standard UDO by a long shot, but then that's not what Udo wanted with this. You know, otherwise, why would you go and enlist the services of a professional orchestra, you know? He wanted this to be what it is, and I think he's delighted with how it's turned out, and so am I, quite frankly. Double album, cracking photo, I have to confess, it's a lovely picture there, but yeah, this is an absolute gem. What an album, what a release, and it just shows how versatile and how well heavy metal fits in with, you know, classical styles and orchestral styles. I think there's a lot of bands out there kind of showing that kind of vibe, but it just really works well together, I think. So yeah, I do encourage you to sample this. I mean, yeah, I know it's not everybody's style, but if you're curious, do give it a shot. Listen to a few tracks and see what you think. I think it's absolutely wonderful. And the last one, which I think I got quite early in the year, is this one, War Dogs, a Spanish band. When was this one released? War Dogs was released on the 9th of January. I think this was the earliest one I have. Way back at the start of the year, and it is Die by the Sword. Traditional, straight up new wave of traditional heavy metal kind of stuff. Really good, just energetic, modern sounding metal. Another excellent job from that band. And that is it. So yeah, out of all that, there is kind of a handful of gems, you know, like I've just said, UDO, the Def Leppard, obviously, the Glacier one, Majestica, the Christmas album, I don't know, there's just so many. Rising Steel, that was the French band, Dark Forest, Possessed Steel, you know, Ambush, what a classic that is, you know, just excellent stuff. I'm quite surprised that I got 41. But what a great year it's been, you know, and as you'll have seen from many other people, they'll have showed stuff that I haven't, and vice versa, so you can sort of see from, if you've watched a few of these types of videos, that there's loads, and maybe with lockdown happening, a lot of the guys have been writing, so there could be, and I think we're anticipating a good set of releases again this year. I know Toby's working on a new Avantasia. Whether that makes it this year or not, I'm not sure, but I think he's planning for this year. We shall see. I know Running Wild. Obviously, there's stuff coming. I've got 3 or 4 pre-orders at the moment myself so far, but we'll just see what happens. And I've babbled on enough. That's my phone. Thanks for your time if you've got to the end of this in one go. Really appreciate you sticking with me. You know, obviously, I tried to get through this as quick as I can, but you know me, I've got to have a wee blather about the odd thing here and there, but with 41 records, it's going to be at least 41 minutes. So, as I say, thanks very much, and I'll catch you all in another video. Take care and all the best for the coming year, which is already nearly 2 weeks old. Bye then now.